we're really not ready to sell the house just yet. Come and join me in the garden and I'll show you what I mean. Right, so it's time to let the chickies out. Let's get them out in the garden. We're coming out to play. Come on then. Come on then. There you go. Come on, Maggie. That's it. Good girl. So yeah, we'd be really sorry to see them go, but you know, they've taken complete control of the garden and the shed. We think we've got foxes living in the shed as well, right next to the coop, behind some insulation material. So we don't really use the shed at all. So that's got to come down. Got to get rid of the whole chicken pen, rehome the chickens, and then get the garden back before we sell the house. And all this is going to happen in the next couple of months, hopefully. As you can probably see there's quite a lot of work to be done. I showed you the shed. I didn't even open the shed. I haven't opened it for a couple of months now. We've possibly got foxes living in the shed, literally right next to the coop. But they were having cubs, and we know that because I've seen them on camera. Yeah, we kind of turned the garden over to nature really, but to sell the property we are going to have to show it as a family home and to show a lawn at least on the back garden. We used to have a lawn for ages before we got chickens. We got chickens during COVID, and the reason being is we wanted to become more self-sufficient. We were a little bit worried how things were going, so we ended up turning the garden over to the chickens and also to growing lots of our own stuff, which we did for a couple of years, well, a few years actually. But you know, none of our worries really came to fruition, and so we're kind of left with 5 pets that we need to rehome. So it is going to be emotional. But as I said, there's quite a lot of work to do. We may even get someone in. We may even get someone in to do what we need to do in the garden, or at least help us out. Certainly we're going to either seed the lawn and try and get that growing and get it mowed and everything else. If that takes too long, then we might just turf the whole thing and get some turf in and delivered. Either way, we'll sort it out. We'll get the garden all done. The idea is to get the shed down, get everything that's in the shed that we want to keep in storage, which we can actually store down at our boat club for next to nothing, which will be really good. We don't want to pay for storage at all because, you know, we've been quoted sort of up to £200 a month, which will massively eat into our budget, which we don't want. Yeah, and then you know, take the shed down, maybe leave, because I think there's a concrete standing underneath the shed, so somebody else can put a shed up if they want to. I might even get a new shed, I don't know, whatever. We'll see what the estate agents say, whether it's worth doing. I don't really want to have to pay for a new shed that I can't enjoy. And then we'll go from there really. You know, once we've sold the house, the plans are still all very up in the air, you know. Some people said about, just want to clear this up, some people say about renting the property out. Really not an option. Yes, you know, we've got to pay the mortgage back. As I said, it's interest only. We've got to pay it back within 7 years. Renting out will just literally delay the inevitable, and I don't want to go down that road. You know, having to manage tenants and then having a problem maybe further down the line and getting them out, or you know, when we want to sell the property. I don't want that headache. We just want to get rid of it and then we'll deal with it, you know, even if it means, as some people have suggested, buying one cheap property up north or something, or maybe a bolt hole in France or whatever. We're still very, very, you know, up in the air about what we're actually going to do. We were looking into motorhome or camper van rather than the caravan. So obviously we've got this lovely caravan, but it means buying a tow vehicle, which is going to cost us upward of 15 grand. Thought, well, actually what we could do is trade the caravan in for a motorhome or a camper van. Now I know there's other costs involved with that, there's other problems with that. We had even thought about storing the caravan down at our boat club. Again, we can do that for minimal cost, so that way we've got a bolt hole if something, and then buy a camper van within budget of maybe 15 grand. So that then if that had to go into service or needed some repairs or something like that, we've got somewhere that we can literally stay in for a few nights while that's being done, or a week, you know, while that's being done, and that's all been okayed with the boat club. So lots and lots of different options. There really is. It's lucky to have, I'm very fortunate to have these options. The other thing as well, I was looking at motorhomes, and you know, you can get a fairly decent second-hand motorhome for like 20 grand. But then when I was looking at camper vans, they want something like, you know, used camper van dealerships, they're charging like 47 grand for a camper van. What's going on there? I mean, I'd rather just buy a motorhome, to be honest, if that's the way it's going to be. I mean, I thought you could be getting less for your money than with a motorhome, with a camper van. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. The camper vans are smaller, they're more compact, more discreet when we're camping and stuff. Sorry if you see me scratching. I've been outdoors. I forgot to spray myself with Mozzie spray, and I'm just absolutely covered in bites. They've obviously really liked me this summer. Keeping me up at night as well. It's a nightmare. So yeah, I think we need to have a look. I mean, I really don't like buying vehicles and stuff from private. We've done that once or twice and been stung every time. So because I don't really know a lot about vehicles, I'd rather get it from a dealership where you can get some kind of warranty, you can get some kind of backup. You know they've MOT'd it, you know they've serviced it before they sell it to you. So that's what I'm hoping. Quite often people sell vehicles privately when their head gasket goes or some awful problem goes, and then you end up being the sucker who goes and buys it off them, and then a month down the line it's dead. I really cannot afford to do that, absolutely. So I'd rather have some kind of backup, even if it means paying a bit more. But 47 grand for a camper van, no. Absolutely not. I'm sure we can find somewhere even further afield. It doesn't matter. We're quite willing to travel if necessary. So yeah, we're still looking at maybe a camper van. We were looking at a camper van and then a boat to have the best of both worlds. But a boat, a lot of issues, a lot of cost for mooring fees and things like that. We could potentially moor it at the boat club. It's a little bit tricky because no one advertises for residential moorings because you're really not allowed to do it. But a lot of moorings have people living in there full time. It's just kind of an unwritten thing, where they just turn a blind eye. But the mooring fees are costly. Then you've got the boat, could be costly to maintain, and everything else. So I don't know. And we're looking at liveaboard boats as well, and they're like 30, 40, 50, 60 grand. It's a lot of money, whereas we could buy a property in France for 20, 30 grand. Yes, it will need some work on it, but it's a house, with a roof and job done, and no mooring fees. You'll have a sort of reduced council tax as long as you have one room that's in a state of disrepair, usually the attic. That's what they do, and then they avoid paying their equivalent of council tax. But I was looking at properties the other day again. There's so many properties that are cheap enough for us to live in. It's just again going through the visa process, which I haven't looked into big time yet. I've got friends who've done it. I've got people I'm in touch with a couple of estate agents that we're looking at, French estate agents, who deal with this all day long. For a small fee they'll do it all for you. And I'm confident that we could get a visa. If not, we could just have it as a holiday home, and we'll have to factor in the costs of travelling down there and travelling back and everything else. But I was even looking at properties up to like €100,000, for instance. About 80 grand, 90 grand. And there's not much in it, really. There's not, between that and say a 30, 40,000 home, there's not a lot of difference, really. A lot of them are still in a state of disrepair, and they might all look nice, and you might get a much bigger property, but inside it's just pretty much the same kind of living standards that needs updating. So, we'd rather have a smaller place. We don't want a huge place. We don't need a chateau. We just need, a 2-bedroom cottage with a garden. I'd like a cellar or a basement, ideally, to do some music in, and maybe an outbuilding, which would be nice, that we could convert for visitors. Yeah, so many options on the table, and in the meantime, my pension transfer is hopefully going through. Once that goes through, I'm planning on, I might leave pretty much all of that on as cash on my HL SIP. With Hargreaves Lansdowne, so that's just earning interest, and it's only about 3% or so, but that'll be a good couple £100 a month that's just accruing, and obviously it'll be compound interest, which is good, and then my other investments are growing nicely for the time being as well. So that way I've got best of both worlds, some invested, some totally secure in cash. for when I go put it into drawdown. So yeah, as I say, lots and lots of different options, lots of things to think about. It's all in the balance at the moment, but the absolute definite is that we will be putting the house on the market, and I will be putting my pension into drawdown and accessing that, even if it means that there's some other stuff going on as well, which I'll report in another video, that may mean our plans even change slightly more. You know, like next year, for instance, we're looking at, you know, if we can't sell the property, or it takes a long time to sell the property, then we need something to at least cover the mortgage, so that we can then reduce our work hours, so that we can do the house, or we'll change the house around and make it more sellable and stuff like that. Maybe get hold of the camper van, get rid of the caravan. You know, we can start the activity towards what we plan to do eventually. So yeah, all these things will take a bit of time, and if it, you know, worst possible scenario, if it means we have to stay put for a year, carry on working a little bit while we're putting all these plans into place, and maybe using the pension drawdown to purchase the things that we're going to need to go forward, then we'll do that. It won't be a disaster. It'll just mean that that'll be a big chunk of money gone, because of the mortgage payment, you know, and the associated bills. That's what we really need to get rid of. So yeah, so renting the house out, not an option, really not an option, because it's just going to be delaying the inevitable. I'd sooner have a caravan parked down at the boat club, maybe a boat, maybe a camper van as well. You know, we could have all three. We could even do that and buy a property in France, and then we've always got somewhere to live, very, very cheaply. You know, our boat club have been very good to us, because we've done a lot back for them. So yeah, it could work out really, really well. So as I say, it's all to play for at the moment. It really is. One little final point I wanted to say, look, I get a lot of comments saying, oh yeah, put all your money into crypto. And all I respond with is just a laughy face. I'll tell you why. I used to mine Ethereum when you could. I had a PC that was run off solar, and it was running 24/7 off a solar and a battery. So it was costing me nothing to mine it. And I was using various software and stuff, and I mined loads of it. And at the same time, Ethereum was going massively up in value. So I earned several £1,000s, literally free money doing that, and I paid utility bills for the year, like, you know, doing that. But also I had some left over, and I converted it to Bitcoin, which of course fluctuates as it does. You know, it's like gambling really with crypto. It's you know, they say, oh, your crypto is an asset. It's not an asset at all. It was on my phone in a wallet, in various wallets. In fact, I had about £100 I think I had in Bitcoin, and I had it on across 3 wallets in my phone. Now, I dropped my phone into the river when I was doing some work on my boat. Complete nightmare story. And don't ever lose your phone. God, everything is on your phone these days, isn't it? Digitally, your whole life is on the phone. And you know, I'm still, this was months ago, and I'm still getting the repercussions of having to get a new phone and everything else, and reinstalling everything. But because my wallets were on there, now I had these massive passcodes that I kept separately when I set up those crypto wallets. And I don't want to bore you with the crypto, because it's really not my thing, but I had all these really long phrase passwords and everything else all set, all written down. When I reinstalled them onto my current phone to try and access my crypto, my Bitcoin, they wanted an email and a password for login, so I did that. At no point, anyway, during the login process, did they ask me for my long codes, and they won't let me use my long codes to retrieve my account. So what point is that? So I just think it's an utter scam, the whole thing. You know, if you lose your phone, that's it, all your money's gone. Luckily I didn't have hundreds of thousands of pounds in there, so there's no way I would do that at all. I've got £10 on Bitcoin in eToro. There we are. And you know, so they hold it, and if they go bust, then I lose it. But at least it's not a wallet. At least it's just a login, which I use with my phone. Again, hopefully I won't lose my phone. But eToro you can reinstall, and you can get back into your account fairly easily. So you know, using backup emails and that kind of thing. So yeah, I would never have a crypto wallet again. You know, once bitten, twice shy, I guess. But that's the way it is. So yeah, anyone talking about, you know, putting all your money in crypto, no chance. I would not take the risk, absolutely not. I'd rather just have it sitting on cash, earning interest in my SIP, if nothing else. So there you go, there's a bit of an update there, a bit of a background as to why we can't sell the house or don't want to sell the house immediately. We've got to rehome our chickens. We've got 2 or 3 people that will probably take them on. It's just a case of when we pull the trigger on that, and we're probably going to be doing it by end of August, saying goodbye to them, which is going to be hard. It really is, but it's got to be done. But it just confirms to us that this house is not just an emotional albatross around our necks. There's a lot of we brought our kids up here, and the kids have got a lot of attachment to it and everything else. So in an ideal world, we'd win the lottery, we'd pay off the mortgage, pay off all the bills for the next 20 years, and sit and enjoy our lives here. We would if we won the lottery, but it's not as easy as that, is it? I don't even do the lottery. So that's never going to happen, and that's just a gamble. It is gambling, doing the lottery, as we know. So and you can't rely on that. It's not a plan. So there you have it. If we had it that way, then and if we'd made various decisions in the past, I know when we had the money, or when we could have done, we would have cleared the mortgage, and we wouldn't be in this situation. But here we are, and we'll take ownership for that, and we're dealing with it, and we're gonna make a life of it. There's just going to be some tough emotional stages that we go through, which we will deal with, and then once we've done that, we can really enjoy ourselves, and that's the plan, to absolutely enjoy ourselves. Bearing in mind our health is good at the moment. I woke up, I went for a hike yesterday, and I woke up this morning in the middle of the night, early hours, to go to the bathroom. Got out of bed, could barely walk because of my back. When I was younger, in my 30s, I'd go on a hike, no problem at all. Go fishing all day, no problem at all. So as you get older, these things take their toll, and every 2-3 years now, as my age progresses, I know that my health is going to get more exacerbated. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get gradually worse. I'm trying to stay fit. I'm still doing the weights, and keeping the diet reasonably healthy and everything else, and staying active as much as I possibly can. But there's starting to be little niggles. What's that going to be like in 5 or 10 years time? People saying, oh, you just carry on working for the next 10 years and you'll be fine. I think that's more about their situation than ours. Ours is, nope, we want to do this right now while we're fit and healthy, and that's what we're going to do. So I also wanted to thank all the new subscribers, all the people that are joining us for the journey, and a massive thanks to everybody who's contributed with the super thanks as well. I really appreciate it. I'm always so surprised when someone does that. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to put all the details of those up on the screen as well, because I can't remember all the names offhand. But thanks again. So if you've got this far and you're interested in our journey to retire next year, age 55, or my age 55, my wife will be 60, so we'll be retiring early, essentially. If you are interested in following our journey, then please subscribe to the channel. Check out our other videos as well. There's a lot of detail. I'll break down some of our finances and stuff. But as I say, our plans are quite, constantly changing. So I'll try and keep you updated. But things could change in a day. In the meantime, really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.